Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining in from. Hi to our audience on Facebook. Hi to our audience on LinkedIn, and hi to our audience here with us on YouTube. We want to say thank you so much for joining us again this evening for a general Q&A section. And with me, I have two fantastic, should I call them scholars? Because we all met on the scholarship journey. But now one of us is a doctor. The other one is a baby doctor upcoming. So that's why we are friends, so we can play around. So we have today's evening section, Q&A section. So please feel free to drop your questions, your comments. And I also want to say we also have something special today. One of our mentees recently won a scholarship. So we're coming in like briefly to share a story and just encourage and inspire others. So we'll start with our introduction. My name is Ejiro Matilda Ikoko, and I'm a Commonwealth Scholar, PhD, and I'm doing my research on women and transport in University of Leeds. And I am your host for today, or rather one of your hosts for today, because I also have a co-host with me here. So over to the co-host, Shuai. No, Dr. Shuai, permit me. Yeah.
It's okay. It's still Shuaib
Okay.
before becoming the doctor. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm Dr. Shuaib Arogundade. Recently completed my PhD at Leeds University in the UK. I was a Commonwealth Shared Scholar for 2019, and also presently I am working on my startup, which is trying to look at how to decarbonize the built environment sector using artificial intelligence. Thank you. And
Okay.
we'll take
Yeah,
it to
please.
Raphael. Kindly introduce yourself.
All right, thank you so much, Ejiro and Schweib. So I'm not a doctor. Anyways, my
Just
name is
here.
Raphael.
Oh
My
my
name
God.
is Raphael. So it's a privilege and a very big honor for me to be, in the midst of these doctors today. So I met Ejiro and Schweib during. I think I was also a Commonwealth Scholar in 2019. So I'm currently pursuing my PhD program in University of Massachusetts Amherst here in the US. And I'm looking at my research is focused on wastewater based epidemiology. So basically how to survey wastewater for infectious diseases, using it to prevent any outbreak in the community.
Fantastic.
Okay. So should I want to say something or should I go?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say that Raphael's research is something that we really need in this
Yeah.
world right now, because wastewater is something we can't do away with. We generate wastewater every single day, and looking at the research on how we can ensure that we don't get diseases from the wastewater we generate, I think that's a lovely research area to look into. So kudos to you, Raphael, and we are looking forward to read a lot of your outputs.
Now he's smiling. He's being serious. Okay, let's. All right. So that matter of fact, just playing around. Okay. So I just want to say this. So yesterday we had a section. No, we had two sections. The MEX postgraduate scholarship, which I'm going to share the link for those people that missed it. It was quite educative and interactive. We also had research publishing and funding that same day in the evening, and it was a very long section because a lot of questions kept popping in and we couldn't finish it. So if by adventure you join us and you have more questions, whether you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, do well to drop it on the chat. And okay, so I would like to start this section with because it's quite interesting because I think so I'm in Nigeria. Shuaib is in the Shuaib, your location.
I'm in the UK.
Yeah, and sorry, what was in US? I think no, yeah. So it's I just want to just I know should be finished your doctor now, but just to like have a recap of your journey, as in because this question came up yesterday in our next postgraduate scholarship. So one of the speakers, she's an Asian by heritage, while the other person is African, but they were both in Japan. And they both gave different perspective to the MEC scholarship, the same scholarship they got, as well as different perspective to studying and living in Japan. They had different, yeah. One of the speakers she mentioned that all these things that they watch in Japanese film is not how it is in real life. That she was shocked herself. So my question goes to the co-host Shoaib and um, Raphael. What's the experience like living in the US and schooling? And Shoaib, yours when you schooled. Maybe we should just start with something that is quite relatable for everyone. Yeah.
Interesting. The interesting thing is that I also applied for the MEST scholarship some times ago.
Oh my goodness, what happened?
I did the interview in Abuja.
You went
Okay,
foul.
but the rest is history. Yeah, but
Okay.
in terms of my experience studying in the UK and living in the UK, I think that it's been quite eventful and quite educative in terms of when we look at it from the perspective of education is beyond the four walls of the university, interacting with people, day to day life, the culture. So I would say that in that aspect, it's quite educative. And what do I mean by these two things? Eventful and educative. Eventful in the sense that I am a kind of person that when I get to an environment, when I get to a location, I try to immerse myself in that location. And so during the course of immersing myself in that location, in this instance, the UK, I find that there are quite a lot of things that you could do that could make your stay worthwhile beyond the four walls of the university. So most of the things I'm going to be saying is going to be beyond the four walls of the university. Okay. Number one, I got to the UK and I learned about hiking. I always hear hiking, hiking, hiking. You could,
Ah, I have
you
it.
could then, you
I
could,
was finished.
you could then think that, oh, you as a scholar, you could have just go on Google and then check what's the meaning of hiking, right? But it never even occurred to me to check what the meaning of hiking is. I got to the UK and I discovered that hiking simply means walking,
Trekking.
but taking a long walk, right? In the mountains and all of that. And I did a lot of this and I enjoyed it. So it's quite eventful in this way, although there's the downside to it, okay? Which is the fact that if you can't walk for long, then I would not say you should hike, okay? If you cannot stand, some I mean, I know that this is probably what I'm not supposed to say, but I don't know how to relate with dogs so much. Okay, is a fear of flight for me when I see dogs. And during hiking, you meet a lot of dogs along the way. So this is the
Yeah.
downside for me. The downside for me, and I'm always running from pillar to post when I see dogs. Now, in terms of being educative, is the case of having an understanding of how the British how they live their lives, how do they relate with people, their sarcasm. Okay, till tomorrow, I'm not sure I can get used to the sarcasm of the British people, or I'm not sure I'll be able to understand, the whole sarcasm as it were. But it's quite interesting. And just today, I was talking to my neighbor, and I I saw his grandchildren. And I said, "Oh, your grandchildren are around. These are lovely kids. You must be enjoying their company." And he said, "No, no, 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 no. I'm not." While smiling, right? However, in my part of the world, if you say such, it will be a case of what? Your grandchildren? You're not enjoying their company? It will probably turn to something else. But that's to show you that, this is not a case of him not liking his grandchildren. It's just, sarcasm, words. They try to just make jokes of almost everything. You get what I mean? So these are some of the things that, you get to learn when you're in a new environment, their way of life. And another thing, as I'm talking now, I have my tea beside me. You know, beyond, beyond the fact that maybe I'm under the weather a bit and all of that, since getting to the UK, before the UK, where I used to live, they drink a lot of tea there too, because I used to live in the UAE. However, it's different in the UK because in the UK, we drink tea without milk or sugar, and I'm used to it. But prior, I drink my tea with, full cream milk and sugar or honey and all of that. So these are some of the things you begin to learn you begin to imbibe. So, in my opinion, I think it's been enjoyable. There is downside to it, the weather. Coming from Africa to the UK, where you have a lot of season in one day and all of that, is a downside. Okay, it's too cold sometimes, it's too hot sometimes, and all of that. But I think it's all part of the experience of moving to a new place to learn, to live, to work or study. So that would be my experience beyond the four walls of the university. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is quite interesting. The walking, some of us the hiking, some of us we call it trekking, and the tea. Well, we the weather is cold, so it has to be hot. But in Africa, we rather take cold or chill drink because the weather is hot. So all this culture, yeah, it's okay. Thank you. So let's hear from Raphael, US. So tell us, how's it like living and studying in UK? I mean US, please.
Raphael is going to have a lot of perspective from Nigeria to the UK to the US. So tell us about it.
Me, I don't like to disappoint, but it seems like I'm a disappointed for now. So, for me, I just feel like meeting people because I like meeting new people, learning because I read a lot. So, for example, I read a lot about Greek mythology. So when I met some people from Greece, I was asking them all those things I heard or I read, are they really true? So some of them were able to tell me, yeah, some of them were true. Few of them were not really true, or they were hyped, or they'll be able to like pull me through. So it's just more like meeting people. The weather, I think, is general. So I'm somebody who, I don't like to dress with all those warm clothing and everything. So, but when I was in UK, I came down with flu during the first semester. I think around December during the winter. So I've learned the lesson that in summer dress for summer, in winter dress for winter. So, and I love drinking coffee even when I was in Nigeria because I'm a caffeine addict. So, and I say it, yes, I say it with on my chest. I'm a caffeine addict. If you see me drinking Coke, I'm not drinking Coke because of Coke. I'm drinking Coke because I love the caffeine. So, but when I moved to UK, I saw like people were drinking coffee and it was normal because back in Nigeria it was like, why are you drinking coffee? That kind of thing. So I was in a place where people were like drinking coffee and everything was like normal. And then here in the US, it's the same thing. So yeah. So that's the much I can say
Okay.
about living and studying abroad.
Okay, that's fine. So I can see we have a lot of audience on LinkedIn. That's very impressive. Thank you so much. Please let us meet you. Want to know your name or just tell us where you're joining from. So yeah, we know we are not alone because I can actually see the numbers of people on LinkedIn and Facebook. So just tell us your name and where you're joining from. Thank you so much. So today's question section is mostly just Q&A. If you have questions on scholarship admission, publishing, funding, research writing, etc. Please let us know. And maybe the next 10 minutes we'll be having one of our mentees who just recently won a PhD scholarship in the US come to share his story. But before we do that, I want to speak. Let's talk about let's start the ball rolling about the publications. So Shoaib, for your PhD, we start from you. You published 7 papers from your PhD. Raphael, are you not shocked? Raphael, not is it not impressive? So and from yesterday's section, we had people that talked about publication. How can I publish? What will I start from? This is discouraging. So and somebody's publishing 7 papers from a PhD. As in, please, can you tell us just briefly? Let's use that to start the direction of the conversation. How did you accomplish that? The challenges and any tips to help with that upcoming PhD. Me and Raf and other people watching. Just let's start from there. Then Raphael will go to you because I know you are a publication freak. You like publishing, so we can now switch over to you. So let's start from Shuai.
Okay, thank you so much, Ejiro. Well, so I'll break it down. 7 papers here. Well, 4 of those papers are first authored paper by myself. Okay. 3 of those papers are collaborative papers with other people. Okay. But all the 7 happened during my PhD. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. So in terms of the 4, that is the first co-authored paper, which is direct output from my PhD research. What I like to say is that there is no one size fit all. And interestingly, I just finished writing an article that I'm supposed to post on LinkedIn later in the week on this. Now, how did I go about it? I'll give you two perspectives, and then you can decide which one works for you. Number one, my own perspective. It is a case of personally, I decided I was going to write papers from the onset. Okay. However, I did not start writing papers until the end of my second year. Okay. Why did I wait till that end of second year before writing? Because I know myself that if I start writing early, I'm going to get burnt out. Because writing paper for publication, as you might know, Raphael can also confirm or deny this. Okay, it takes time, it takes energy, it saps your brain power. Okay, and I don't want that to happen to me because that would affect my thesis writing. Okay, so my strategy was I'm going to start with my thesis writing, write my thesis to an appreciable extent, and then begin to cut out the chapters of my thesis for publication. Okay. Now, what did I do? At the tail end, specifically at the December year 11th month of my second year, I had written all my literature review chapters. I had completed written all my literature review chapters, which is about 3 or 4 chapters there. And what I did was I then picked one chunk of that and I worked on it. Of course, I had to put introduction section to it. That chunk of literature review is like the result and discussion section, right? And then I introduced the methodology because I utilized systematic literature review approach. And then I put the conclusion. Okay. So a paper came out straight like that, made it quite easy. Okay. Now, when I got to my third year, I think about the third or fourth month of my third year, I had written about 3 of my result and discussion section. Okay. What did I do? I picked a chapter of that. Okay. Because I had written my methodology prior. So I went to pick part of my methodology section. I joined it with my result and discussion section, the one I picked that I wanted to publish. Of course, the introduction section, how did I do that? From the introduction and the general literature review that I had written for my thesis, I picked a handful from those places. Then they formed the introduction of that paper, and then I wrote the conclusion. So that gave a second paper, naturally. Now, the third paper followed the same process, including the fourth paper. All right.
Okay.
And I have about 2 papers in the work because the output of my research is quite broad, it's quite huge that I can write about 7 papers from
Wait, hold on. You have 2 other paper pending.
that I'm working on at the moment.
And you already have someone that's out. Are you okay?
So-
Please go on. Yeah.
So that is how I did. I was able to do those 4 first authored papers, okay, from my PhD research specifically. Now, the other 3 outputs, which were collaborative papers, were not directly from my PhD research. Okay. Now, one of it was from a colleague whom we are doing PhD together. So, from his own research, okay, he was writing a paper and he wanted me to collaborate on that paper. And so what was my own role in that paper was I had to do the first review of his write-up. Because when you are collaborating on a paper, different authors have different roles that they play, right? In some paper, some authors are going to be the ones that are going to be in charge of data collection, some on data analysis, some on data, first manuscript writing, and all of that. So my role on that paper was to review the paper, okay, to give my insights and my input for the paper to be improved upon before submission. Okay. Now, other two papers that I collaborated on, who was with someone who is a very great friend, okay, of mine, was on waste management and circular economy because that's also another area of interest of mine. Okay, and again, what I did, my role in that paper or in those two papers were to review the papers. Okay, to in fact those papers, I had to sort of dissect some of them, try to move things around and all of that. And that was how those particular outputs also came about. And so that's how the journey of having those publications during my research period came about. Thank you. So
Um,
Raphael, we move on
yeah,
to you.
just before I first speak, I want to say to our audience, please drop your questions. We'll start taking questions soon, so drop your questions. Raphael, go on while I get to bring the mentee on board. Okay.
All right, thank you. So what was my question again, Ejiro?
The
Ikoko,
question, can you tell us about the process of how you've come about publishing papers? Because even you are just pardon me, I don't know how far you've gone in your PhD, but even before you started your PhD, I think you've been publishing. So we want to have an understanding of what gives you that motivation to publish, and how you have gone about doing those publications, and if you've done collaborative papers, how your role and responsibilities are on those papers. Thank you.
All right. So I will try as much as possible to avoid, um, should I call it journal politics? So, because there's a big thing on publication, which we cannot really go into today here. But so I think I have like Shoaib did 7 publications in period of his like PhD. I think I asked my advisor before coming, how many papers have you witnessed a PhD student publish under you? She was like, most I've seen is like 5. So, and Shoaib already did 7, which I think I've seen people who did 3. I think 3 is like the average. So
I've,
doing
I've
7,
Raphael, I've seen people who did 15.
yeah. So it depends. Now, I was going to get into that.
Yeah.
So when people publish papers, it depends on the career path they want to take. So if you want a career in academia, you definitely have to be churning out papers, quality papers, right? Because the way you are assessed in academia, if you want to apply for a job or an academic role, the first thing they do is to check your name on academic like community, and the commonest ones are like Google Scholar. That's the first thing they do because we don't know and we don't care where you're coming from. The most important thing is, are you making any impact in the academic community? And your impact is not how long you've been teaching, which is very important. It's not how well you've been teaching, but it's your research, publication and the citations you have, per those publications, because that's what shows if you're making impact or you're not making any impact. So for me, it was like a motivation because I knew I was, going towards that academic path. Already when I was in Nigeria, I was working as a lecturer, so as an assistant lecturer. If I think I was a GA first before I went for my masters, then I knew this is where I was going to, and I understood that what like a very big criterion is publication, right? Because if they like Shoaib had like I think 7 publications within a space of I think between 2020 and 2024. Because that's another thing they check how current you are. So you can't just have one paper or 5 papers in 2020 and then nothing happened 21, 22, 23. You're coming in 24 to publish another paper. So it shows that you are not really making much of impact. So these are the things they check. So that was like the first thing I considered. before deciding, okay, this is it. I have to be publishing paper. So I have 7 papers in all outside there. Um, 2 of them, no, 3 of them, I am first author. The other ones, I am collaborative author. So, and just like Shoaib said, it depends on the role you played. So for one of the paper, I analyzed the data, and then the other one, I think I analyzed data for 2 of them, but it was a secondary data that we used, not a primary data that we used. So I'm also working on 3 papers currently, because these things take time. so, so these things take time. Yeah. So, because I already have one which is ready, but it's undergoing like internal review within our lab. And one of the most difficult things and easier things to do is writing a review paper. It is difficult because you have to do a lot of work, but it's easy because you don't need to have a lab, you don't need to have access to like equipment to do it. So if you're looking for, like, you want to start publishing papers, I will advise or recommend that the first thing to do is to do a review paper. So because it's something you can do on your own. It takes time, I will not lie to you. Sometimes, in fact, one of my best review papers, which has received 80 citations so far, that paper, began writing that paper in 2020 and finished that paper in 2022 December. And my advisor said that this paper was still not good for publication. After going back and forth, that paper was published in 2023. And I can tell you, every month that paper gets around average of 3 citations since it was published last year, right? Yeah. Or was it 2 years ago? I'm not sure again. So, but it's like, so if you do a very good job, you really get citations. So that's what I would recommend. So for me, I think that's like the journey so far. Another thing, when it comes to collaboration, do not write a paper alone.
I need to interrupt you because our
Oh, sorry.
audience needs to know what's happening. What is a review paper? You mentioned review paper. What is a review paper? Yeah.
So there are different kinds of academic publications or journal articles. So we have like original research, which is like you went to the lab or you went to the field, but you got data, primary data. Then you oh, okay, so yeah, is the question. I'm just seeing the question right now. So, and then you analyze the data, and then you were able to like get some, because you're trying to do something, right? Let's say you want to find out let me use my own research work, because my research is on wastewater surveillance. So basically, we know that for us to prevent infection in the community, we can't really monitor everybody. We don't know people. Some people will be asymptomatic. Some people might even develop immunity over time and recover. But then, like in the case of COVID, children are immune to it, but they can actually transfer it to their parents. So what we do is we try to ask a question: can we recover these infections or infectious pathogens in wastewater? If we can see it in wastewater, we can be able to, it's more like a proactive measure. Then we can see what's happening in the community even before it starts happening. And then we can either launch test and trace or tell people to go for vaccination or something like that. So the question is, can we really recover COVID from wastewater? So you can, that's the question you want to answer. Then you start researching, go to different wastewater, treatment plants, get samples, you analyze your data. So you are just trying to answer that question. Let's say at the end of the day, your answer was like, yeah, you can be able to recover COVID. To what extent can you recover? Then you publish it. That's an original research article. But a review paper, still with COVID, but this time around, it is novel. Like, we don't know, let's assume you don't know anything about it, but you are asking that question, is it possible? You could look at things like Zika virus, Ebola virus. Have people done research in this area, like, or similar, like pathogens? Is it possible? Because you can now say, okay, yeah. So it's not like your research, you're just looking at what people have done. So you are trying to synthesize all these like multiple research to like give people direction. So mostly review papers get cited often than original research because they're gathering this information. And then somebody who wants to work on maybe wastewater surveillance can decide as, okay, this author from his review told us this thing is possible or it is potentially possible. So I'm going to focus my research in this area. So that's a review paper. Now, systematic research, I've not done systematic review before. I think Shwai mentioned I did systematic review.
Yeah.
So honestly, I don't know how it works, but I've seen some people do it. But I think it's maybe I'll let me allow him to talk because I don't have any knowledge about systematic review.
Okay.
Okay, just finish yours. Maybe you should just finish your own discussion and he'll go back to that.
Yeah, sure.
Just
Okay,
finish
cool.
yours,
So
yeah.
these are like so these they also have like short communication, right? So we also have like opinion. Maybe we have your opinion about COVID. Oh, we believe COVID is this, so you write an opinion, and it can be
Opinion piece.
cited. Yeah, it's an opinion, and it can be cited. We also have like letter to editor. Like you just write a letter to an editor about a certain thing, like editor of a journal. Just write a letter to him. It can be it's it's publishable. It is citable. So there are a lot of publications or journal articles out there. So I think I've lost my trend of thoughts. Okay, yeah, I was talking about collaboration, and that's where I'm gonna stop. So for collaboration, my advice is I'll delve a little bit into journal politics. If you're writing a paper just yourself and you are just like maybe someone like me who, let's assume I have not had any paper before in the past, and I wrote a very fantastic review article. It's like you're bringing a new product into the market. People are gonna look at it like, who is this person? What does he know? How old is he in the industry? Does he have is he a professor? Like these are questions they ask, and then so you find out that most journals may not accept your publication, and that's where collaboration comes in. So sometimes you're gonna front the big wigs, maybe your professors who are like the advert, you front them, and then most times, so like I say, it's like journal politics because they already like established in the industry. So you can just like put these are the people who collaborated with me in this paper. So, and the assumption is that they cannot just collaborate with you on maybe a paper that doesn't make any sense. So that way, because I've noticed people who have like just themselves publishing papers, most times they don't get citations because they don't get good journals that accept their papers and they talk about the frustrations and all those things. I'm not saying don't do a good paper, but I'm only saying that after doing your good paper, unless you're already like a big wig, you already established yourself, you're a professor, then you can do a paper on your own. Otherwise, it's good to collaborate with like those who are, the big wigs in the industry. So I think that's the much I can say for now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Raphael. And I think you've just nicely answered the question by Gloria, who asked about where is the balance between working with others and working alone for a new researcher. So you've just answered that question. Thank you so much, Raphael, for your great input. Now, in terms of carrying out a systematic
Yeah.
literature review, so the difference between systematic literature review and just a general literature review paper is that for systematic literature review, there's a set guideline, that you follow in terms of it's just the way you are carrying out an original research, like Raphael has explained. You collect your data, but before you start collecting your data, you have to first decide on the process of how you are going to do your data collection. Okay, in terms of, okay, this is my chosen area of research. Maybe I'm going to work on sub-Saharan Africa. These are the points I'm going to collect the data from. These are the equipment I'm going to use. These are the tools I will utilize, and all of that. Okay, and then you go to that data collection, you go to that site, you start collecting the samples. Okay, when you collect the samples, you go to the lab, you start carrying out your experiment. If it's like an experimental research, if it's not an experimental research, if it has to do with questionnaire or qualitative thereabout, the same process. Now, for systematic literature review, is the same process. So you first decide on what is the research question you want to try and answer. Okay, so in my case, as an example, I said, okay, I want to have an understanding of what are the drivers that can lead to reduction of carbon during construction process. That's the question I want to answer. Now, I want to look at people that have done this research in the past in literature. What have they, written about? And so because I have my question, the next thing is I then look at it. What are the which particular database can I look at to get articles published by these people that have written about it in the past, okay, to get the data from. So once I have that, I then begin to, that's part of my inclusion criteria, right? I then begin to look at what is the keyword that I'm going to be using to search on this database that will give me research related to those people that have written about it, and then that is going to help me answer my research question. Okay. So in that particular example that I've given now, you want to use drivers, which is a keyword. So you now look at what are the synonyms of drivers, motivation, etc. Okay. Then construction process. What are the other ways you want to call construction process? Construction process, construction phase, construction stage. Okay. This is how you just develop keywords. Okay. That you will utilize in searching on the database. Okay. Now, once you have that, you then go to your database, put those keywords in it, because we have different databases. We have Scopus, we have Science Direct, we have EBSCOhost, we have PubMed, different databases for different areas of research. Okay. Scopus is quite broad. I like Scopus. Also, there's one I forgot. If I remember, I would say it. So you go on those databases, you put those keywords in it. There's a process to how you carry out that, because that's a session on its own. So I can't go through the details. So once you go there, you can then say, okay, from which year to which year are the papers you want to include? Okay. The papers you want to include are these papers that have been published in which kind of journal. You can do all of this selection in the database that you are utilizing, and then you run your search. Once you run your search, it brings out those data, those papers, and those papers, you then begin to go through the abstract, you go to the title. Another level is go through the abstract to see that they can assist you to answer your question before you then go through the full article. Okay, so at the end of the day, you will then determine the number of articles that makes the cut. Okay, so once you get number of articles that makes the cut, you will then read those articles and then analyze the write-up, what they have written in those articles, to ensure that you are answering your question. Okay. So you probably want to look at, okay, number of paper per year, what are the location they have published these papers, what have they spoken about related to that drivers, during construction process, what are the challenges they have highlighted, what methods did they use to do their research. Those are the things you then point out in your own paper that can then assist people to, just like Raphael said, it then assists people to cite your paper well, because people can take your paper because you've dissected everything. Maybe a new researcher wants to have an understanding of the kind of methods that people use to carry out research related to, construction process. They can come to your paper and then look at, oh, these are the methods that people have utilized. Okay, I can use this method, and then they cite you. So it's the process of data gathering, data analysis, reporting, and all of that. It then becomes an original research in quotes, you understand, in its own right. So, but this is another episode that maybe we want to organize an episode on, to go through the whole process. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you so much. So why today we have something. Oh, hey, something quite interesting. One of our mentees just won a PhD scholarship, and so he benefited from the mentorship, the webinars. He's here to share his story. But before we do that, we have a question on LinkedIn. It's from Evaristos Eze. He said, I am a first class graduate, so I have to wait for my phone. So because the chat is not popping up. I am a first class graduate from Nigeria. Congratulations. I have an offer from the University of Leeds, Shuaib. So you're here. And I am earnestly looking for funding. Oh, yeah. Okay, Shuaib, you want to answer that question? It's just a
So,
general question.
so the person, congratulations first on getting your
Yeah.
admission at the University of Leeds. So the
A
person
good
is looking
school,
for
okay? Okay.
funding. Yeah, yeah, yeah. top 100 university in the world. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
so in terms of the funding you are looking for, we don't know your specific situation, okay, but we'll just give sort of advice. So first of all, you want to look at the University of Leeds itself. What kind of funding do they have for people that want to pursue? I think master's program. I'm guessing is master's
No
because the
idea,
person,
but just
yeah,
proceed.
the
Yeah.
person did not state whether it's master's or PhD, right?
Yeah,
So
possibly.
I'm guessing it's master's, maybe. So you want to look at University of Leeds website. What sort of scholarship do they have for master students generally? Number one. Number two, what sort of scholarship do they have for people from Africa? Okay, because so that way you could then say, oh, I might qualify for this, funding opportunity. Okay, so now, except if they've now broken it down, if they've not used Africa generally, if they've now mentioned the kind of countries in Africa, then you might probably not qualify. But if it's just Africa general, then you look at that. Another way you want to look at it in terms of scholarship is you want to look at Commonwealth scholarship, that Ejiro kindly has been, doing a lot of webinars on. So you could keep your admission. When Commonwealth scholarship opens up, you want to look at the possibility of, going through that route. Another one you want to look at, you want to look at PTDF scholarship because you are from Nigeria. Okay. Even though PTDF scholarship, I think they have number of schools and then the kind of courses, because it's a general question, we don't know your specific situation. They have the kind of universities they partner with, they have specific particular courses that they sponsor, but we don't know your situation. You can look at PTDF scholarship as well, as it were. In terms of other ways of getting scholarship, you could look at University of Leeds. You have an admission, interesting, but you could look at specific courses within University of Leeds because University of Leeds has some courses that have scholarship attached with it,
Mm-hmm.
even at master's level. Okay, so maybe your course, the one you have admission in now, might not follow that route, but if it's another route, another course that you think you can do related to your program that have scholarship applied attached to it, then you can look at applying for that. So that would be, the general idea, as it were, at the moment. But I don't know if Raphael has another contribution to this response.
No, no, no.
Okay.
You've done justice to it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And I'll say to you, Eze, I'm going to call you Eze. Please join groups where they post scholarship opportunities to stay updated. Okay, because so let's we're almost close to the hour. So today we have with us one of our mentees. His name is Arnold. He recently got a PhD scholarship in the US. So he's here to come and like just quickly share his story and inspire others because I some people tell me these things you are doing, is it real? Or are you just being a YouTuber to just oh my god. Yeah. I just said I can understand the person's pain because the person has applied a lot. So the person was kind of pouring his frustration on me. So I know a lot of people has won the scholarship, a lot of my mentees, and I'm sure she will have mentees. So I had to bring Arnold here today to come and share his story and tell people that these things are real, these webinars are working, people that are mentoring are actually doing a good job. So Arnold, I know it's quite late in Kenya. I think about 2 hours difference, an hour difference. Arnold.
I guess right now it's like two hours difference.
2 hours difference. So I know it's quite late, so we will not keep it for long. So can you just quickly just tell us just share with us what you want to share about your scholarship journey and possibly inspire others and as well as what you did, key things that really helped you put in a competitive application. And also possibly have questions for our mentors, you can also ask them questions. Yeah.
Okay, everyone can hear me.
Yeah, we try to if you can be more audible, maybe.
Okay, I think that's the maximum I can go.
Yeah, we can go with that. We can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay, so my name is Arnold. I am from Kenya, and I started my scholarship journey like 8 years ago, where I applied
Whoa.
my first scholarship in Budapest. for my undergraduate, and I got it for the first time. And I applied the stipendium Angaricum, and then after that I applied the second scholarship in 2020, and I applied two of them. I got one in Italy and one in Poland. So I chose to go to Poland for my master's. And now the last place where I applied for the scholarship is the Commonwealth. I had like two options. So during my master's, I worked in Boston. I worked as an intern, and I got an opportunity to interact like with some professors because I was working with a consulting group on transportation, on the on the subway system in Boston. I was working on BSc group, so I had like some professors from Cornell and UPenn, where I thought I had made great links, but unfortunately they never got funding, so I couldn't join their research groups after my master's. So I applied the Commonwealth scholarship and got two admissions at University of Leeds and University of Birmingham. But I had chosen to pursue like the University of Birmingham for my PhD. But and I was selected. I was shortlisted for the interview because you have to go through the two processes. So I got my shortlisting, and I went to the interview, and I was put on the waiting list. So if one, like, they give 19 scholarships to Kenyans, but I was the 20th. So they told me I have a chance because I was like the youngest on the group applying for the PhD. I was around 25 years. And so in the Commonwealth is mostly given to like assistant lecturers in Kenya and so on. Like, so they told me like we cannot guarantee you get inside, but you can apply other scholarships. So I applied. I had to do the GRE test because I never studied in like English speaking country, and the IELTS or the TOEFL. So I did both of them last year. I got the GRE like 328 and the IELTS I got like 7. So I applied to 3 universities, that is the University of Vermont, Penn State University, and the University of New Haven in New York. So because I'd lived in the US, I knew I can't go to big cities, so I applied to universities which are outside the city because of the cost of living. Of course, I couldn't apply to Boston University, State University, because the cost of living in the metropolis are really high, and PhD students in the US don't earn that much. So I had to check the rural universities, but not, because in the US you have to pay some taxes, you have to pay some PhD assistants, like bi-weekly there is some money they remove. So I knew I had to play really safe, because it's a very big factor to consider when you're doing PhD, the financial impact. So I applied to those 3 universities, but made sure they're not in the city, unless an Ivy League, which it's really hard if you don't have a connection with the supervisor. So because the Ivy League, let's say like if you're applying to MIT or Harvard, you need to have a personal connection with the supervisor, because even applying to the website is just, I think it's a waste of time, because mostly they're shortlisted with how you know the supervisor. Like same like the Commonwealth, like you have to have a guarantee your supervisor has a funding and so on. So I never completed the UPenn. I had applied to UPenn, but my supervisor never had an assistantship, unless I was a teaching assistant, which we never fancy a lot to be a teacher assistant. Since in the US you have to do it for 1 year. I did for 1 semester at least as a teaching assistant, but I knew I wanted to be a researcher. So I had to look for scholarships that are fully funded by the department as a research assistant. So those are the 2 things I aimed for. So I applied and waited for the feedback. So in the University of New Haven, they never had a scholarship. They never had an opportunity in the lab to hire PhD students unless I was ready to work as a teaching assistant, which I never wanted to pursue due to like personal reasons. And Penn State, they gave me the offer, but I had seen some red flags with the supervisor, which I never wanted to pursue. So since I saw like he needed so much micromanagement and I couldn't do whatever I wanted, so I had to sideline it. And then last week I accepted the offer from University of Vermont. So I'll be joining in August in Burlington. And, and that's my PhD journey. And I've been watching the like like from this conversation it has helped me since during my Commonwealth scholarship. Uh, I was able to reach out to Ikoko, and she helped me on redefining my statement of purpose and also my my topic, like my research proposal. Since we are in the same um, department, okay, I'm more into policy for my PhD, but because of I wanted to go to the university she's in, like the University of Leeds or University of Birmingham. I reached to her and she helped me to improve on my essays, which which also helped me to be shortlisted at the Ministry of Education here in Kenya. So yeah, that's like my journey. Maybe I'm a bit lucky since I've just tried. I've tried only like in 1 year and I was able to reach that far. But PhD is really hard. Like the journey is really hard to pursue, but you have to. I think you have to put a lot of how can I say? You have to be consistent because you'll get a lot of challenges like from rejection from professors. Since I had applied to Commonwealth, I had applied to 3 universities. One was rejected because the professor told me my research. I've never worked as a researcher, so he couldn't accept me in his lab. That was University College of London, UCL. Not UCL, Imperial College of London. So I couldn't get in there. So I I never gave up. I tried to talk with some professors. Like in the US, I talked with 5 professors, and because before applying, you have to know who you're working with. Mostly because you have to put him on your statement of purpose at least, so that it can reach to his table and is able to shortlist you. You can push your application. So for those who are trying US, I think it's a bit easier for if you have the GRE and the English test. It's really easy to get in there. But for if you are having like financial difficulties, maybe Commonwealth can be really better to try, but you should not give up. Like I've had some people have tried 3 or 4 times, but on the 5th time they got it. I
Thank
think
you.
that's all.
Thank you so much, Arnold. Thank you so much. It's been very insightful. I really enjoyed, the way you have broke down the process, and the way you've related your journey from the beginning of your undergraduate degree up until this stage that you got your PhD scholarship. Permit me to say once again on behalf of myself and Raphael and Ejiro, congratulations, and on behalf of our viewers today, say congratulations on your PhD scholarship. And I will just do a little recap so that our viewers and listeners, they can really let it sink in, once again. Okay. Now, Arnold took us through the process of how he got his first scholarship, in Budapest for his bachelor's degree. Okay. He said he applied the first time and he was able to get it. Okay. Immediately he finished his undergrad in 2020, he applied for master's degree, scholarship, and admission in Italy, and I've forgotten the other country, all right? But he applied in two countries. Okay, he got the scholarship and was able to proceed on his master's degree again, okay, with scholarship with funding. And immediately when he completed his master's degree, he then began to apply for scholarship for his PhD. And Arnold, at this point, let me note that Arnold, acknowledged the fact that he's been lucky and is grateful to that. However, we would see moving forward that the journey of his PhD scholarship also had a bit of a bump along the road, okay, which he encouraged that we have to be resilient and we have to keep pushing until we get what we want. Okay, he started by first applying to the UK. If I remember correctly, I think he applied to University of Leeds and Birmingham, okay, and he applied for Commonwealth scholarship to be able to pursue his PhD in the UK. He related the story of how upon application went to the interview stage, got to the interview, you know, and then for the Commonwealth nomination thereabout, it was told in Kenya that it has to be people that are, I think, assistant lecturer or something that they usually give, and then because he's a young guy, and all of that, that they will put him on reserve list and all of that and all of that. But at the end of the day, that did not pull through. But that did not show that does not mean that he did not do well because he got through the ranks, through the stage, and this is what he was told. Okay. Upon realizing this, he began to look at what are the other ways out. Okay. And Arnold thought, why not apply to the US? And he looked at it because he has schooled in Budapest and in Italy. I don't know if it was Italy. He ended up going for his master's because he got it in two places. Yeah.
I was in Poland.
In Poland, yeah, so Poland. So because he had, did his master's degree in Poland, bachelor's in Budapest, he has not studied in an English-speaking country, so he needed to do GRE and the English test to go to the US for his PhD. Arnold applied for the GRE and the English test. He got, I think, 308, or is it 318? In your GRE.
328.
328, fantastic. So Arnold got 328 in his GRE, did his English test, he did well, and he began, applying to US schools. Now, along the line, Arnold was looking at, the Ivy League schools, MIT, and all of that. However, because of, I will just summarize it, the kind of politics that go on, in this realm, okay, was not able to get all of those. Then he began to look at, okay, what are the other options for me to get a very laudable scholarship that will take care of, that will be a fully funded program. Okay. So he looked at the route of teaching assistantship, looked at the route of research assistantship, looked at the route of department funding students and all of that. Decided not to go for teaching assistantship for personal reasons. He looked at departmental funding. He applied, in that realm. He was able to get some offers. He did not take some offer because he saw some red flags. And I want to point that out. He mentioned a red flag and he said he discovered that if he had gone for a particular one, okay, he thinks that there was going to be an issue of micromanagement from the supervisor, which is going to make life a bit difficult during the PhD journey. Because PhD itself is difficult, not you now having a problematic supervisor, right? So he then decided to ensure that he now picked the one he feels like, okay, it ticks all the boxes for him, okay, and then the red flag is not there. And so that was how he now got to the stage of, going to the University of Vermont now for his PhD. May I also mention that along the way, Arnold did some internship, in Boston, had some did some internship with some great professors in Cornell University and all of that. And Arnold, in summary, or in summing up his conversation, encouraged all of us that even though he has been lucky, He knows that he has heard stories of people that have tried to get Commonwealth scholarship the first, the second, up until the fifth time before they got it. Okay, that's to show that we have to be resilient. We have to persevere. Things might not come easy sometimes, and sometimes I would think that these things are not easy. It is actually a process for us because everybody has his own path that you have to follow. And so the path of Arnold might not be your own path. Okay. You might also be looking at positions whereby they are not the best for you sometimes. And so you might need to pivot. And so that's the summary of what Arnold has, sort of spoken to us about and then try to encourage us on. Hope we will get lessons from this. And I hope that this conversation, as it were, has been really useful. So, Ejiro, do you want to take it up?
Oh no, no. So Anna, thank you so much for joining us. We are very, very grateful, and I hope you stay in touch. Possibly one of these days, when you're much more settled than your PhD, you can come and be a speaker and tell us about life in the US in Vermont University. So thank you so much, Arnold. I know it's quite late, so we can allow you go now. Thank you so much, and thanks for inspiring other mentees. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Arnold. So,
So there's a question. I think you jumped this question. Yeah.
okay. No, I had answered this one
Oh, great.
during the chat, through the chat.
Please. Okay, that's fine.
So these are all published anyway. They are published in journals, and that's why they get cited. All
Please
right.
drop your questions on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can see them. Please drop your questions. Thank you. Or your comments or contributions. Yeah.
So,
There's a question. Okay.
do you want to go for this, Rafa? I was just going to point to you that you want to answer this question.
Okay. Does writing from a call for publication give a higher chance of acceptance? So one thing you need to be aware of is phishing journals or predatory journals, because so we have, like, when people call for publication, some of these journals, like, once you publish for the first time or second, at least once you have your publication out there, sometimes I getting emails. I get, sometimes in a week I can get like 10 to 20 emails. And how do you know that these people are like phishing journals? The way they address you, first of all, they might address you as professor or whatever. I mean, so you need to be aware of that, because if you publish your paper in a predatory journal, basically they will just want your money. There are people who do it, but I don't want to mention it. I don't know if Ejiro is recording this, but because it's going live, so there are a lot
Yes.
of journals. We know how their name starts from. So, but then we also have like like sort of like what's it called again now? I don't know what to call it now. Like a pool where you, so there's this Excel document I have. It's from 2022. I don't think they released another one. So it contains a list of journals, their ISBN, sorry, their ISN, their, so you have like all you don't even need to type the name, because when you type the name of a journal, just like if you want to book a flight online, you can, stumble onto clone websites. You can also stumble into clone journals online. Like, let's say, for example, science of the total environment. You search for it online. You could see people might just clone that website, and then you think you're publishing with the right website. So the best thing I do, what I do is I use like the journals. I'm trying to remember the name of this. So let me just, I think it's in my system. Yeah, JCR and Journal Portals 2022. So I can share this document. I mean, it's available out there, but sometimes it's a bit difficult to see them. So every journal has what they call the ISSN, the EISN. Then they also have like category and quartile, and category and journal quartiles. Then they have like their citations, their impact factor, their JCI, and their what they call the percentage open access gold. So if I want to search for a journal, what I do is I look at the name of the journal using this document. Then I pick either the EISN or the ISSN. I put it online. Actually, it looks like a range, like maybe 1, 2, 2, 2, 3 dash this. the first thing you get is that Google will think is an arithmetic issue to give you the answer. But if you go a little bit down, you see the name of the journal. They just click on it. It takes you straight to the journal. Now, most people that call for public, yes, there are some genuine call for publications, but they don't send you the email. It's on their website. So I don't think, I may be wrong, but I've not encountered or heard that they send emails to individual authors to come publish with them. No. But if you go to their website, you see that there's a call for publication in a certain theme. Um, maybe in a particular area, because every journal have like a team. So maybe that particular team has been lagging or they're not getting more publication. So they can decide to should I say advertise it or something like that, so that they can have like more publications coming in there. But that doesn't mean they will start, like coming to you, sending you emails and something like that. So beware of that. And then before you publish, make sure you check other publications in the journal, in that like journal, because one thing I've come to understand that many people, you see this thing called an DOI. So if you're publishing in a journal that does not have a DOI, that's number one red flag. Secondly, if you have something like a reference manager, let's say Mendeley, I use Mendeley, but there are many other reference managers out there. Just copy that DOI that you've seen on the journal website, paste it on there's a search listing on Mendeley. So there's a place where you can add manually, you put the DOI, then you click on search, it will run, and then it will give you, if you just populate the entire field, give you the name of the journal, the name of the article, the publication date, everything. If it tallies with that one, you can do it for like two, assuming you are working on a journal that is not a popular journal. By the time you see like two or three of them matching, it means that it's a genuine journal. Doesn't mean it has to be like high impact. But if it's a high impact factor journal, you don't have any problem because those journals are like well known. I'm just talking about like journals that are fishing journals or predatory journals, because most times they give what they call journal number or article number. Nobody can cite an article number. Like most reference managers don't pick up article number. So see it this way, it's like your phone number is unique to you. So once that phone number is dialed with any phone in the world, it's gonna reach your phone. But if they give you maybe the name of the phone, we can easily reach you with your phone, the name of your phone. Or we can reach you with either your phone number or your IMELs. That's how that DOI is. So it's called a digital object identifier. It just picks your article, and then it's like cross-references it, and anywhere you publish it, once there is maybe any, like you can see it across. I don't know how to, if I really explain this thing very well, but so that's like red flags when it comes to publication. So I think I don't know if Shuaib have something else to say regarding this.
No, you've done justice to it.
Okay, I just have something to say. I think I got an email, I think last week or so, and they said I forgot the name of the journal, but they wanted to have like an issue or so, and they asked me that she sent my papers within 10 days. Why are you guys smiling? Why are you smiling?
No, I think you just need to follow Raphael's.
Me, I was like 10 days. Who writes a paper in 10 days? What you can do, but I was
No,
like,
no,
what?
no. So it's a case of you might have had a paper that you've written and you are still thinking of where to publish it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Yeah.
like Raphael said, most often than not, when they begin to send you emails, it's a phishing journal. Except
Yeah.
if you had a conversation or an interaction with that journal before. Okay, so there's a journal that I'd even forgotten that I'd reached out to them regarding a special issue that
Yeah.
they advertised. I'd forgotten. Last week I just saw an email from them reminding me that, oh, you showed interest in submitting a paper to this special issue and blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, I can't even remember that but maybe I saw the mail. I remember that I sent them an email prior. So but you just need to be careful. If you see
Yeah.
dear Professor
Oh,
Gloria,
they have
or,
what they call me
or,
dear doctor. You're like doctor. I have not defended my
dear
PhD. Well, I
Doctor.
don't understand.
So let's move on to the question from Miriam Logoleko.
Please keep
So
your question coming in. Yeah. Go on.
Miriam has said that is it ideal to have a collaborator on a review mainly because of their experience in writing or publication, even if it is not related to their field. Raphael, you're
Okay. Yeah. So
thank you.
I knew somebody was going to ask this question. So the thing is, I'm not going to give a direct answer to this question. But like I said, so if you go to Google Scholar, or I don't use ResearchGate because ResearchGate is like, I feel like they always update citations. I don't. It takes them time to update citations compared to ResearchGate. Sorry, compared to Google Scholar. For example, I have 108 citations on Google Scholar, but if I go to my ResearchGate, I'm seeing maybe like 90 something. Maybe after like 2 or 3 months, they will start updating it, and then I must have had like more citations. So the first thing people do is when they put your name on Google Scholar, they look at your citation. So they are like, these are called metrics of um uh, like assessment metrics sort of. So there's a general, the overall citation, there's the H index, and there's the I-10 index. I believe more indexes will come up because I mean it's getting more competitive. Very soon there might be I-100 this thing index, because we have people who have like over 56,000 citations. So there might soon be I-1000, I-10,000. That's what I'm thinking. Now, when they put your name and they check your citations, nobody is going through the title of the paper. Nobody, because that's the first thing they see. That's what captures their eye, first of all. That's how they do their preliminary assessment. Oh, okay, high citation, nice. Then they can start going down to now understand. So again, it depends on why you want to do this. If you are going to academia, they will always ask you, let's say they're interviewing you for an academic position, they will ask you, what is your role in this paper? In all the papers you've published, they want to find out your role. It could be it's not in your field, but you were contacted maybe because you are good with data analysis. You know how to use Python, R, so they can ask you to do it. And then you will say, okay, I want a course, like I want an academic course. So put my name there. You understand? I think there's a paper about put my name or something. There's an article about put my name. No, add my name. So
Really, I need to find that paper.
article about add my name. I think it was like the syndrome of, I can't remember the name of the article, but basically, you know how you want to publish something, somebody be like, that your paper, beg, add my name there. You understand? So it could be that maybe
Like,
you
add my name. Oh.
people do it a lot. People do that's why sometimes you see one paper, 10 authors. What did they contribute in all these things? You understand? So if you did data analysis in that paper, you are entitled because you contributed. It may not be in your field, unless you decide to back out. So there's nothing wrong with that. The only thing is, again, people rarely, I can tell you, people rarely read the title. Even when they read the title, nobody has the patience to come and start reading the paper. The least they can do is to read your abstract, and then that is it. They make the assessment. So there's nothing wrong with collaborating, but make sure you can't be in finance, for example, and you're collaborating with somebody who is in maybe medical ethics or medical oncology, gynecology. I mean, like it's far. But another thing is people have what they call areas of research. So you might have like 4 areas of research. Like mine is in water resources engineering, water quality management, climate change mitigation, and environmental science. Now, I can have papers in climate change mitigation. I can have paper in environmental management. I can have papers in water resources engineering, but I cannot have a paper in with maybe Ejiro is in transport, for example. If Ejiro puts my name in, like it's off
I won't
because I
put your
don't
name down, Mary.
unless maybe someone like Schweib that is looking at carbon reduction. That is also in climate change mitigation. So we can
Yeah.
collaborate on the paper. So you see how they check some of these things. So it's not like it's not a complete no, it's not a complete yes. Just make sure it aligns with your field or your research interest, and also you play the part. But if you did not, because they always have a place where they put like author's contribution. Yeah. So if they check what is your contribution, maybe you just revise the paper. It's not, and then you're like 6 author out of 7 authors, or so yeah, because most time the last author is usually like the professor. So it's like it doesn't count. But one good thing about it is that if it's a very high impact factor and a very high quality paper, the citation counts for you because All this, like everybody gets a citation. Nobody cares whether it's in Igbo, linguistics, Yoruba study, Asian study. Nobody cares. They just look at the citation. That's what matters. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, I think you've done justice to it, and then you just need to. I think basically we just need to balance things out. In terms of the kind of person you want to put on your paper, and of course, you don't just put people on your paper. This is just to summarize what Raphael has said. You have to have an engagement with such persons. But I want to digress a little bit. So even if you are in finance and you are in medical ontology, like example of Raphael, I think that from what Raphael has said as well, maybe you are in finance and then you have the skill on of using R, for instance, and they want to use R to do their data analysis, and then they came up across you, they spoke to you. You can do the data analysis. If you want your name to be there, it's fine. So that's the little digression. And I don't think it's really much of a digression. I think it's just piecing what Raphael has set together to then infer from your inference. So I think that might work. But if it's a case of maybe you are in finance, there's medical ontology, and then they're asking you to review the paper, you know, if that's your role in that paper, it's somehow, how do you review that? Because what's your knowledge of medical ontology? You understand what I mean? So those are the things you want to look at when you are doing such collaboration. Andrew, I think you want to say something before
Yeah,
I move.
yeah. I have two questions. But what about, because I know there's some people doing PhD in medical and finance. Is I don't know what they call it.
Yes,
So
yes,
I
yes.
so I'm not really. So what do you have
Okay.
to say about that?
So in
But I know
that,
some people
it's a
that do
case of
it.
there's a friend of ours, a mutual friend of the three of us,
Okay, great.
Amina. I don't know
Oh,
if you
good.
remember
I know
Amina.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Amina is doing something on is it med yeah, medicine, finance, and statistics or something. One complicated thing like that. Yeah, she's a really smart girl. I don't know how she's doing it. So in that regard, you will discover that what she's doing related to statistics and medical and finance or something is maybe it could be financing of maybe medical something something something. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So that way is the knowledge of maybe finance that she has, plus the knowledge of maybe medicine, or but she's not going to be going into the detail, the way we cut people, the way we take liver out of somebody, and all of those things. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, if you see me and I'm doing a research on maybe the law behind decarbonization, something something in law field, you'll be like, try, when did you become a lawyer? I'm not becoming a lawyer. All I'm looking at is I'm looking at the policy aspect of decarbonization. Do you understand? Which requires me to have maybe some little or basic understanding of maybe some law terminologies. But I'm not going to be going into, in 1920, this is the law that applies. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but my question is, I understand, but what if the paper is actually on both? Maybe for example, I might be wrong, but maybe the financial cost of doing such a good operation on so and so. So the paper has to cover both areas.
Yes, that's possible. So
And
if you are
so you can have somebody in finance field between partner with somebody in medical field.
yes, that's acceptable.
And
That's
so how do you get to
acceptable.
balance that out? So then just say it has to be. I was trying to bring a balance.
So it's already your area of research.
Yes.
It's already your area of research. So that takes care of that.
Uh,
And you'll be having like more papers in that same area. Because one thing you don't want to do in the earlier, like early phase of your career is you have a paper that is talking about Nigeria. No, okay, I don't know. There are many audiences here, so let me be specific. You don't have a paper that's talking about medicine. You have like they have another paper talking about engineering, another paper talking about visual arts, another paper talking about international politics. Where do
all
you
around
fit
that.
in? So you need to really,
Oh my god.
align your area of research towards one direction. and resist the temptation of, there are papers I have reviewed and they offer to add my name. I said no, because not because they're not good, but I feel like it's not going to benefit me in the long run, because that's one thing with when you put up papers out there, particularly on Google Scholar, those papers are going to remain there. They are going to remain there. So like, it's like your social media, right? When you do things outside there, you can't really delete them, like particularly when it has gone outside there. So that's how papers are. And I think someone asked a question about where does the print journal used in Nigerian universities fall, and then how can such papers get cited. So, okay, should I? Let
Yeah,
me
go
allow.
ahead. Go ahead, please, Raphael.
Okay, okay. So again, you need to look at, do the journals have like DOI? You see, some of them may get printed like prints. They put them in like magazine, or what's it called? Maybe you attended a conference. They have like journal of
Or
this,
a
Nigerian
book or
journal of
something. Yeah.
that, exactly. So if it doesn't have like, because even before, journals used to be like that before we started going online. So even those big journals as well. But if they don't have DOI, because DOI is like that's cross reference. It's always gonna cross reference your article anywhere it is mentioned, or anywhere you want to look for it. So if there's no DOI on on the journal, like the journal, because they always tell you what they support, so you need to go through. And one thing you need to know is that for you to have a DOI on your paper, you have to pay. So if you are in Nigeria, for example, you are paying for to publish a paper like 10,000 naira. How much does it cost to give that paper a DOI? So already you know that it's nearly impossible for such a paper to get a DOI assigned to it, because once you publish a paper, you give like, they're gonna give you a DOI. The journal will give you a DOI, but it's gonna take like extra 2 weeks depending. Some might be, I think I've had papers that took like 2 weeks before they registered it with it, because DOI is like a body, something like that. So you have to register it somewhere. That number is going to be unique to your paper. I've also had another paper that took 3 days. So if the paper is still new, and like most papers that will be released this week, 2020, this is April 2024. Like some of them, if you look for their DOI, if you run it online, you will not. It will tell you wrong DOI or no information found. Doesn't mean that they are fake papers or something. No, it simply means the number has not been registered with the cross-referencing database, which is like the DOI. So that's what you need to check before you publish in any Nigerian journal. Check for the DOI. If they are, again, like I said, they can be fake DOI. There are DOIs that you put them there on any reference manager. It just tells you it is wrong. It returns no results for you. So because having DOI doesn't mean that it is genuine, because that's the only way somebody can cite you. That DOI.
ResearchGate gives DOI to some things you upload on their platform if it doesn't have a DOI.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
ResearchGate. Oh, I had
Yeah.
no idea. Honestly, I don't like using ResearchGate, because I feel like you can upload things there yourself. Even on Google Scholar, you can upload things, but most times you don't have to upload things on Google Scholar. It just
Yeah.
appears once you have an account. It just comes up. Sometimes it asks you, "Is this your paper? Like, did you author this paper?" You can say yes or no. So, but it's very important that you check this thing when publishing. And so it doesn't matter whether it's on print or online or digital, but just make sure it has like a way of being cross-referenced. That's what matters.
Okay, sure. I think let's take the last question and we'll call it a night. Is that okay? So last
Yeah.
question goes: does publishing in such papers count? I think okay, we can say add to it. And how can one get cited in such journals?
Is it for me?
Anybody can fake it. Any of you is fine, or both
You,
of you.
you can take it, Raphael, but before you take it, let me just say a clarification. So,
Okay.
how can one get cited in such journals? So, I think that question is a bit lumpy.
No, with the print, she's referring to the print journals.
She's referring to to those print journals. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well understood then. So you can go for it, Rafa.
It's almost so the thing is, if you're using a reference even if you're using let's say a referencing style, something like APA, which I don't know which one people are conversant with. I prefer the IEEE because I don't have strength for all those, etal and the rest of them. We just use like code, like what's it called? This square bracket, and you put like number. So, but if you're using something like APA, you want to reference an unpublished article, there is a style for that. But again, that's where it ends up. It cannot be cited properly. Because even when you cite it, if you go to maybe any paper, any journal article, go to the reference list of references. Those of them with DOI, we always have a hyperlink. You can easily click on it. It will take you to the main paper. But if yours does not is not cross-referenced, it's going to be blank. Like it's going to be unhighlighted. So you can easily click on it because there's no cross-referencing, which means we just know the only thing here you tell them that this is unpublished because they might in the journal you're using, they might have like their own style for referencing. And they might tell you, oh, we adopt this style, we adopt that style, and that style that they adopt has a room for citing or referencing journals that were not published. They call it maybe thesis, for example. A thesis article that was never published, you can actually cite it, but you need to let them know it was not published. So in that case now, you can't see any hyperlink to just be like blank like that. But the rest of them with that are cross-referenceable, let me use that word, you have hyperlink.
Well, my university has the DOI for our PhD. So my PhD is now online and I have a DOI for it. So
Nice. So you see that something like Schweib's your PhD dissertation right now. If I want to reference it, all I need to do is take the DOI, and then it's gonna count as citations
yes.
for him. So these are like, so that's why it's very important that you have the DOI. Okay. So, and because it's a way of cross-referencing all your like that particular paper
Yeah.
anywhere in it is in the world. That's why books will have like ISBN, stuff. So DOI is like peculiar to specific journal like articles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so
That's it.
much. How do you want to end it? So we just call it a night.
So yeah, thank you everyone, our listeners across Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We are really grateful for you, coming on board this particular session and staying with us till the end. We really appreciate your valuable time and for engaging, for your questions. We hope that the next time we put out this session, you continue to join us, and we hope that it's been valuable to you as much as we have enjoyed, discussing in this session. So thank you, Ejiro, for continuously putting this up. We really appreciate that, and thank you, Raphael, for sparing your time because I understand that doing a PhD, especially in the US, you, your time is very valuable. You are not in the
Yeah.
lab today. We are grateful that you are not in the lab today. So thank you for your time. We really appreciate your
My kids
questions.
didn't come in early. The
Your
kids I
what?
ordered for my kids didn't come in early. If not,
Oh,
Your
you
kids.
see, you
Oh
see,
my goodness.
you have been in the lab. I know. So and
Okay.
thanks to me myself
Yeah.
for having this conversation, and thank you to Arnold for joining us earlier. Congratulations once again. I really appreciate your kind input, and thank you everyone that have engaged with us, Gloria, Miriam, Eze, and all the other listeners. We are really grateful. So till we meet again in the next session. Ciao.
Ciao. Bye.